Hey everybody, welcome back to Royal Tarot Readings. This is my fun channel that I do for tarot readings on the royal family and current events. All information presented in this video is for entertainment purposes only. It's not so much fun today, but it's tarot and I'm just a gal with cards. Alright, so I'm going to do an update on this Air India crash. I've had so many requests for it, and of course I've been very interested in it myself. My last reading was incredibly accurate. I zeroed in on the fuel being an issue. I also found that there were two things, and with pentacles that showed up, I thought it had to do with finances, but I'm starting to realize that pentacles in my readings like this, where there's some mechanical issue, is talking about mechanical parts. So there were two mechanical parts, and I believe that was referencing the two fuel switches. And then the other thing that was really interesting in my last reading was that I zeroed in on the question, did you do that? Why did you do that? And the person answering, I didn't. Or, why didn't you do that? And I did. I wasn't sure which one it was, but I specifically heard that question when I was reading. So all those things were in the report. So now this reading is going to do an update. I know that everything has zeroed in on the fuel, the fuel switches being turned to off. And one of the pilots asking the other one, did you do that? Why did you do that? They said, I didn't. So we need to find out why the switches went to off. The other significant thing in that preliminary report, and a lot of people aren't zeroing in on this, which I did right away, is there's something called the Special Air Worthiness Information Bulletin. SAIB is the acronym. And when that comes out, it's usually by the manufacturer and the FAA, and they will say, this is a special airworthiness information bulletin that you need to be aware of this on this particular type of aircraft. It can be either mandatory or informational. This one was informational, which I think was pretty interesting. And what it was saying is that sometimes these fuel switches are being installed without the, without the locking mechanism being in place. So when you put it into a certain position, it's not going to accidentally flip on its own or get bumped or whatever to a new position. And this aircraft did not have the locking mechanism in place. That airworthiness bulletin came out in December 2018, and since it was informational only, it was not applied to this aircraft. They didn't have to do it. Now, a lot of places did it anyway, because I'm sure they and I am interpreting that, if that fuel switch gets turned off, that might be a big thing. Now, I know probably a lot of these places were thinking, well, if you're in the air, you have enough altitude, you have no problem. But this was on takeoff. You don't have enough altitude. And from this report that I read, if you read it as well, and it's out there in my post in my community section, I put a post out there with the link to the actual report, that when one of the pilots realized they were turned off, that these fuel switches were turned off, he turned them back on, and one of the engines actually was starting to relight. And this aircraft can fly on one engine, absolutely, no question. One of the engines was starting to relight. It was starting to get the fuel back into the engine. The other one was having trouble. It kept trying it over and over again, and there just wasn't enough altitude. When you're flying, altitude is your friend. That is one of the first things you're told. Whatever happens, if you have enough altitude, you can probably recover from it. In this case, they just didn't have enough altitude. So, all right, so let's find out what happened with that. Was this caused by the Airworthiness Bulletin not being applied? And I want to find out about what the full investigation is going to show, and some other questions too. So let's go ahead and get into this. This is going to be, for this reading, I'm going to use the Ancient Whisper Tarots. My goodness, I'm getting overcome by the same amount of confusion I did when I did the other reading. All right, Ancient Whispers Tarot, really interesting deck, and it always gives me really very accurate readings on what's going on. All right, so let's see what we find out here with the Ancient Whispers Tarot. All right, this Air India crash. Why did the fuel switches go to off? Let's just see if the tarot can tell us. What happened? Why did they go to off? Did one of the pilots manually flip them to off? Is that what happened? Was the switching of the fuel switches to off due to the fix in the Special Airworthiness Information Bulletin not being applied to this aircraft? Justice. Ooh, there's going to be some legal issues involved. Oh, wow. Okay, how interesting. And what will the full investigation show about the fuel switches going to off? This was only the preliminary investigation. Don't forget, this was not the deep dive. This was just a preliminary. And has this incident of fuel switches going to off happened in other Boeing aircraft? Five of Cups, regret for the past. Wow. My goodness. Regret, and bitter disappointment over the past. Okay. All right, has this happened to other aircraft? Because we heard reports of it happening. I want to know, did this actual, where it flips to off, maybe by itself, has that happened in other aircraft? And what will Boeing say about the incident? They haven't really made a statement yet. I noticed that when this report came out, their stock went up. So a lot of people were saying, oh, they're really going to blame the pilots. So what's Boeing going to say? And then in my last reading, a woman showed up. Seven of Wands in reverse. What you've done is indefensible. Wow. A woman showed up as in that reading, and I want to know, if it's important, who was the woman in the last reading? Two of Pentacles. There are the fuel switches again. Those were that came up in my last reading, the two fuel switches. Okay, if it's important, who was the woman in the last reading? And then, will we know the truth of what really happened? Are we ever going to know the truth? Seven of Cups, being gaslit. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. All right, interesting that a card has flipped around on almost every single question that I've asked. Okay, strength, being in a strong position. Okay. That's really interesting. That doesn't always happen when I'm shuffling, that a card will flip over for every question that I ask. It's really interesting. All right, I think we're getting close here. Ten of Pentacles in reverse, which is about generational wealth slipping. So, wonder if Boeing's going to turn out okay on this. My goodness, these cards are really, really chatty. Four of Wands in reverse. So that's about funerals. Lots of funerals, and degradation of security of the home. All right, I think we're going to go with this one here. Okay. We have 8 questions. We are going to do 8 cards. 3 cards. Okay. All right, let's see what we get here. Interesting. 3 cards. Those 3 cards are going to be my underlying energy. How interesting. All right, 8 questions, 8 cards. Let's see what we come up with here. Oh, also I want to mention too, if you are interested in a private reading, I have 2 links now, and I'm trying to update most of the videos. I'm doing 15-minute and 30-minute private readings now. So if you're interested, click in the link below so you can sign up for your private reading and use an email address that you normally use, since you'll get all your links and you link to your reading through that email. All right, underlying energy is Queen of Pentacles in reverse. There's our woman. 9 of Wands in reverse. Total anguish. 4 of Pentacles in reverse. Look at all this reversal energy. Out of control. All right, so we have a woman here. Queen of Pentacles upright is usually about a balance between work and home, being a good person who looks after your family. And in reverse, there's this imbalance of work and home. This also is a money card as well. 9 of Wands in reverse, being in total and complete mental anguish. This is a mental breakdown. 4 of Pentacles in reverse, losing control of money. Okay, our Queen of Pentacles may be very, very, very distraught about what happened. Well, she should be. Okay, if that's referring to an actual person. All right. Why did the fuel switches go to off? What happened? Why? 6 of Cups. The past. Okay. I'm getting goosebumps. Okay, I have said all along, I don't think this was the pilots. I just cannot imagine. Why? Why not take it up to 30,000 fleet and then you can, do something to the aircraft? No, I don't believe this was the pilots. I've never believed this was the pilots. 6 of Cups, the past. Why did the fuel switches go to off? Something in the past. Something happened in the past. It can be about children. It can be about where you grew up. All right, we'll see where this goes. My first initial impression was this is a past. Maybe something didn't happen, like that airworthiness bulletin didn't get applied, but we'll see what the rest of the reading shows. I mean, this could be about the past of one of the pilots too. All right. I'm letting you know what I think right up front. I don't think it was the pilots, but we'll see. One of them, we'll see. All right. Did one of the pilots manually flip these switches to off? Four of Cups. They would never do that. This is being completely disinterested. Apathy. You're offered something and you say no. Of course not. Of course not. The only other cards that I would have said that was a complete no are the aces in reverse. Not even interested. Why would I do that? Did one of the pilots manually flip them off? No. I not from what the cards are telling me. Why would I do that? Was the fuel switches in flipping to off, was this due to the fix for the Special Air Worthiness Information Bulletin not being applied to the aircraft? Is that what happened? Knight of Cups in reverse. Oh, wow. All right, Knight of Cups upright is about being a savior, being the person who fixes everything, who makes everything right. It could be your knight in shining armor. And in reverse, not being that savior, not being that knight in shining armor. Was this due to the airworthiness bulletin not being applied to the aircraft? I think so. Knight of Cups is I'm not going to do that which will help. I'm not going to take the action that needs to be taken. Wow. And then for the underlying energy, this is just applying over everything. There's a woman who is so distraught over, she's having a mental breakdown and she's lost control and she's going to lose control of money. Wow. Okay. Tara, will you clarify that Knight of Cups? Can you give me a more direct answer? Was the fact that the fuel switch is flipped to off, is that due to that airworthiness bulletin not being applied? Wheel of Fortune, bad luck. Yeah, I am going to take that for a yes. Yep, it was bad luck. They should have done it and they didn't. Bad luck. A turn of bad luck. Who knew that back in 2018 not doing that would lead to this? Wow. Okay. What will the full investigation show about the fuel switches going to off? What are they going to show? What's going to be in the full investigation? Page of Wands in reverse. Bad news. It's going to be bad news. Dang it. Come on, Tara. Give me a little bit more here. Okay, I know it's going to be bad news. What's it going to be bad news for? Is it going to be bad news for the pilots or for the company? Can you tell me, Tara? Who's it going to be bad news for? One of the pilots or the company? Death. Ending. Transformation. Transition. If it was death in reverse, I would have said it was one of the pilots, one of them who died. But this is death upright. I think it's gonna be bad news for the company. Look at all these Arcana cards. When I'm asking for clarification, I'm getting Arcana cards. Wow. All right, so it's gonna be bad news that will result in a transition, an ending, or a transformation. Oh, they're probably going to make that airworthiness bulletin mandatory. That's what I think that means. I think it's going to be bad news for the company. It's going to be bad news. Bad news. All right. Had the incident of the fuel switches going to off, has that happened in other Boeing aircraft? Has that happened before? Three of Pentacles in reverse. So this is about doing, okay. Maybe it's happened 3 times. Upright, the Three of Pentacles is about working together with someone. Now I'm starting to realize that Pentacles are talking about mechanical things. So Three of Pentacles would be, it happened 3 times and other people knew it. And in reverse, I would say it's happened 3 times and there's one person who knows it. I think it's happened 3 times before, or maybe in one type of aircraft. I believe it has happened 3 times before. but it's been really kept quiet. It's kept, instead of everybody knowing about it, and people are working together, it's happened 3 times and only very few people have known about it, very select people. Wow, maybe even only one. What is Boeing, let's see, what's Boeing going to say about the incident? Oh, wait, did I miss one? Hang on 1 second. I just realized I put down too many cards. Well, we're going to take that extra card at the end and see what it wants to tell us. Okay. All right, what is Boeing going to say about the incident? Are they going to make a statement? What are they going to say about it? Judgment in reverse. There's no second chance. No second chance. Arcana card again. They're going to make a statement, and they won't have a second chance about it. Maybe they'll address the issue of the pilot. They may exonerate the pilot. I would be so shocked if they did, but because this question was, did one of the pilots do it? And this is like, no, absolutely not. Why would I do that? And then this is judgment in reverse. You don't get a second chance on it. They're going to make a statement, and they know they don't have a second chance on it. So yeah, I think they will make a statement. And what are they going to say about it? That there was no second chance on it. I almost let a curse word fly. I think they are going to blame the pilot. Okay. Or they may just say that they didn't have enough altitude. There's going to be something about they didn't have a second chance to fix it. Interesting. The FAA said we didn't have to do it. They're gonna blame it on the FAA. Okay, that's what it is. They told us we didn't have to apply it. What are we gonna do? It's the FAA. Yeah. Okay. They're gonna blame it on the FAA. Okay. If it's important, who was the woman in the last reading? If that's important. Oh my God. Wow. The Queen of Wands. Fire sign woman. I say it's important. I'd say it's really important. Again, this woman, fire sign, is the one who, wow, what are the odds? Who had a direct influence in not making this mandatory. Is it a woman at the FAA? Who ruled that this is not going to be mandatory. I don't know if it's the woman at Boeing, because when the FAA rules whether something's mandatory or not, it's from a direct recommendation of the manufacturer. Because they're the ones who are saying, hey, we need to put this fix into place. Of course, the FAA can direct it too, but there was some woman was involved in the decision of whether this airworthiness directive had to be mandatory. I'd say it is important. I'm really, really, really leaning towards this is just not the fault of the pilot. I'm so sorry, my camera cut off. So I got a phone call, and for some reason it cut my video off. So just letting you know, I am picking up where I left off, and that is where we were talking about that the Queen of Wands was somehow involved. And yeah, okay. And then if the woman was involved, was it important? It absolutely was important, because I think she was the one who was pushing for that airworthiness directive not to be mandatory. Allegedly, this is what my cards are telling me. All right, and then will we ever know the true story? Are we ever going to know the true story about what happened? Nine of Swords. It's a nightmare. The bad news is a nightmare. We might, because we may know about the nightmare that happened, and it was bad news. We might actually hear really what happened. I really hope we do. And because of that, we may get this transformation of how they determine whether airworthiness directives are mandatory or informational. It just seems like a big thing. If you don't have the mechanism in place to prevent a switch from going by itself, you don't have that locking mechanism in place, that would seem kind of like a big thing. But anyway. All right, and then we have our extra card. The universe had me put down an extra card. What does this extra card want to tell us about this incident? The world. It's going to be very public. This will be a completion. Okay, when we get the full investigative report, it will be full and complete, and they will be able to move on to the next phase. I think we really will hear what happened, and it will be true. And I think the world will be satisfied. And they probably will address these other 3 incidents that happened as well. Because we've been hearing reports and stories. I've been on pilot blogs and all kinds of things, and we've been hearing stories about this happened on the 7, I think it was a 777 at this time, but it was something where they were able to, correct it, and it didn't end up being problems. But I've had reports from other pilots saying that, yeah, these fuel switch thingies are the fuel switch indicators where you switch the fuel. Wow, I'm getting all confused again. My goodness. Because people have been so confused about what's been going on with us, about these fuel switches just going suddenly in the wrong direction or moving. So I have heard of this allegedly. Now this is what I've been, just reading on the pilot blogs, and I think there was one documented incident as well. But the world will hear about it. It will be completed. They'll move on to the next phase. They may address these other incidents, and I think it's going to end up in transforming how these bulletins are, how they're determined, whether they're mandatory or informational. All right, there you go. All right, let's do a quick wrap up here. My goodness. Okay, so why did the fuel switches go to off? Because of something that happened in the past. And I'm going to assume that this is the past of maybe in its infancy when these fuel switches were put on these aircraft. Maybe this was a new type of mechanism they had. And so something that happened in the past there. And did one of the pilots flip them to off? And no, they weren't even interested in doing that. Why? All I keep hearing is, why would I do that? So no, they did not switch that manually to off. And then was the fuel switch moving to off due to the fix in the airworthiness bulletin not being applied to the aircraft? And the Knight of Cups in reverse is not being reliable in doing something, not doing what you're supposed to do, not being the savior, not being the person who really saves the situation. And when I asked for clarification, it came up it was bad luck. Bad luck. It's just bad luck that happened at that time. It just happened to lose its position because that fuel lock wasn't in place, allegedly. And then what will the full investigation show about the fuel switch going to off? It's going to be bad news. I think it's going to be bad news for the company, because I asked for clarification. Is it going to be for the pilots or the company? And there's going to be some transformation or transition or ending of something. If it had been in reverse, I would have said it was pilots, but no, I think it's going to be for the company. And it's going to be something very critical. They're going to suffer for it. And then, has this incident of the fuel switches going to off happened in other Boeing aircraft? And it has happened 3 times. But it's been kept very, very, very confined to just a few people, maybe even just one person. And for the underlying energy, whoever was involved here is just having a nervous breakdown over this, of course. And they're going to lose control. They're going to lose control of the situation. You know what? May lose control over this mechanics. This is actually quite different. They may lose control over the ability to sign off on these airworthiness bulletins and how they're categorized. Ooh, that's what may happen here. All right. And then what will Boeing say about this incident? It's going to be very critical. They're going to have no second chance when they make their statement. And I believe they're going to probably throw the blame to whoever made that airworthiness bulletin informational and not mandatory. Because I know they want to blame the pilots, but I don't think they're going to be able to. There's something that may come out that maybe they'll be able to recreate this in a simulator, or Because I know pilots have hopped into simulators and they've tried everything to try to recreate this accident, and they haven't been able to. So now that they know what happened, they may be able to recreate it. So they're going to have no second chance, though, on this statement. So they better, they're really going to have their T's crossed and their I's dotted. And then, if it's important, who was the woman in the last reading? And I got the Queen of Wands. Someone very important, someone very high up, fire sign woman who had direct involvement in making this airworthiness bulletin informational and not mandatory. That was her involvement in it. In my last reading, it was about the maintenance, and absolutely it was about the maintenance. She said something, in my last reading, she said something, she recommended not doing something when they should have, or doing something when they should not have, and she overpowered other people in doing it. So, and that's kind of what I'm getting here, too. All right, and then will we ever know the true story? I believe we will, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare. Bad news and an absolute nightmare, and it will result in a transition or transformation and an ending in the way they're doing things, probably assigning categories to these airworthiness bulletins. And then the world, this was an extra card, and it was I was asking what else did the universe want to tell me, and that is the world, whatever is presented here in the final report, it will be a successful completion to this whole episode. And the public, it's going to be very public. The public will be satisfied. They'll be able to move on now to the next phase. And I believe the next phase is going to be how maybe addressing these 3 other incidents that happened, and finally realizing that that's what happened with them. And then the public will be satisfied. All right, there you go. I hope you found that interesting. We'll see how this shakes out. We'll see if this reading was as accurate as the last one. But anyway, thanks for all your comments on this. This has been really a story that I've gotten a lot of engagement in, and obviously it's one I'm very interested in. I'm going to be flying on a week from Friday. I'm not going to be on a 787, but I am going to be on a 747-8. It has those fuel switches in it because I checked. But anyway, so yeah, this little announcement for you. I am going to be traveling on the 25th through the 3rd. So I'll take my cards with me. I'm going to go visit my sister. She and I have 1 week a year where we just go away to the beach together. No husbands, no kids, just the 2 of us. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. So I am going to be broadcasting from the west coast of Florida. So we'll see you there. But that's going to be a week from Friday. So anyway, I hope you guys found this interesting. If you did, please like and share. Don't forget to sign up for your private reading. Again, the link is in the description below. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much. I really do appreciate my subscribers so much. And I hope you guys are enjoying the readings. And if you're not a subscriber, well, please do subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss another reading. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you again soon on Royal Tarot Readings. Bye-bye, everybody.